everybody, and welcome to Krycklund Analyses cartoon frames. And in this first episode, I would like to analyze a frame originating from the cartoon series King of the Hill from 1997, created by Mike Judge, a popular sitcom, or rather slice of life show about a family, living in the West, and just the general lifestyle over in Texas and such. Well, this frame right here, it comes from the pilot episode 101, and to give some backstory for the frame before we delve into the analysis is this frame, and this is important because this really is part of the analysis to give you context for this. So this frame takes place when Hank and Luann, they are in the car. They're about to drive to Bobby's baseball practice, and and they're basically having an argument, somewhat of an argument, and that is why Luann is looking over there at Bobby. But okay, let's start the actual analysis here. As I'm sure you're all riveted to get the analysis started here. So, looking here at Luann, I feel we should start with Luann. She appears to look like some sort of frightening goblin creature, perhaps of some sort of Tolkien-esque origin. Her glasses appears to be, I can't tell if that's what's it called when you look, but I can't tell if that's an error or if it's on purpose to make it look like reality in the way things reflect. Her eye appears to be very small, perhaps a comment on her small-sightedness, that she will not see past Bobby's flaws. And same with her ear. Once again, perhaps a comment, she does not listen. Perhaps that. If I had to compare her to anything, I would compare her to some sort of frightening, bottom of the sea, the anglerfish creature, something of that nature. Let's continue analyzing Luann here. Her facial structure is very, very jagged. Her nose is just, there's something wrong with the ratio from her nose to her mouth, and there's definitely something wrong here. Her eyebrow, once again, I might have said this, but it appears to be missing, and her glasses, there's a very jagged thing about them. They're quite jagged, and there's just two weird blocks on top of each other. It's very strange, and they do not appear to rest on her ear, which most glasses do. There's something very strange going on here. I do not know if this was supposed to be a comment on anything, perhaps by the creative team. It's very possible. They are prone to slip in comments on things like this, very political comments. Perhaps King of the Hill predicted Trump. Perhaps they did. Who knows? Also, as you can see, her breast has some sort of, there's something strange going on here. It's not very, it's not a smooth line. It appears to be very jagged. It looks very robot-like almost. There's a sort of with indentation. Is it possible that Luann is not supposed to be of human origin? Is she some sort of robot? A cyborg, perhaps? Who knows? we can never know the artist's intentions. That's something that's so magical about entertainment in general, that we can all analyze from the outside and we can all make conjecture on what the artist might have originally intended, but truly only the artist knows for what they have created. So I believe I've said everything I have to say about Luan. I believe we've covered Luan here, okay? So let's move on to her surroundings. I don't want to quite get into the rest of the characters yet, because I want to save the best for last, okay? On the dashboard of the car, there appears to be a just a box of tissues, just there. It's just kind of standing on it's just sitting on the dashboard of the car. I don't quite understand why you would do such a thing, and also, I mean, the perspective is all over the place, because, I mean, it almost looks superimposed onto the scene, but perhaps this is a comment about, you know, absence, and perhaps, like, it doesn't look like it's there, in the sense that, you know, Luan does not look like she's there, in the sense that she's not human. There's a sort of, like, theme of human absence here, absence of humanity, and it's similar to, you know, Pink Floyd's 1975 album Wish You Were Here, similar to that in the terms of, you know, making a comment on absence of humanity in the entertainment industry. Perhaps a very similar thing here. Who knows? As I said before. So the box of tissues, it also appears to look very you know, out of place. The box of tissues itself looks very out of place. I mean, it looks far more detailed than you know, any of them do. And the shadow of the tissue box, I mean, it's not facing the right way, I believe. But once again, it can all be part of the message. It's possible, and not only is it possible, it's probable. And I don't quite understand. I mean, what is this car, for example? I don't understand this this vehicle here, or, you know, what they're trying to convey here. Like, I'm sorry. For example, the you know, as you can see above Bobby Hill's head, you can see the floating, I mean, it's a floating metallic thing. I suppose it could be the front view mirror, but I'm so sorry. It appears to be floating. There's nothing connecting it. So I mean, you could always. This is my personal analysis. It might not align with yours. I'm sure you all have your own, like, takes on the scene. Perhaps it is a flying metallic chrome Roomba spaceship that is floating behind the car, and that is why everyone is looking so perturbed. You know, yeah. This is my personal take on it, and to me it does make sense. That's why it would look that way. Once again, theme of human absence. It's an alien object. It's not human. It's distance from our human perception. Yeah, you see what I'm getting at here. Well, I feel like we should move on to the surroundings, the background here. You know, the trees, as it were. Trees, they appear to lean to a vanishing point in the middle, as if there is a road, but I don't quite get it, because I believe in the scene they're supposed to be stationary, and would that not mean that they're about to leave Hank's house? I mean, it's possible that they made the artistic choice of having them drive up at the game and that's where they stop, but why would the game be next to a large forest? Why would the baseball field be there? It does not make quite a lot of sense. You you know, it does not, it's not jive with reality. I don't feel like it's, you know, it makes complete sense here. As you can see, the tree that is next to Hank's head here, it appears to have some spider-like tendrils coming out of it. It does not look like a regular tree root. It has some sort of weird, you can see a sort of like divide in between each segment of the tree. You know, as if it was an upside-down spider of some sort. Or perhaps even an alien figure. You know, as I said, this spaceship Roomba thing. It's possible they might have already invaded Earth. It makes sense why they're all looking very perturbed indeed. This could be a very nice subplot. It would make sense. It would confirm a lot of Dale's suspicions. I believe that's why they planted Dale there as a character. Because he's woke on that. He knows that the aliens are coming, and it's JFK was not in fact assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald, but Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. So I do believe that might be it. Once again, give me your take on this. The tree that is to the very right, you can see that the tree is sort of shaped like an X, oddly enough. Like the tendrils of the tree are shaped like an X. Could this be a reference to the X-Files, the X Factor, the letter X? Who knows? Only truly the creators can know. But as we continue looking around here, I believe we should move on to the interior of the car, or at least the part we have not talked about yet. You know, in the middle of the shot, you can see that the seats have some sort of strange, some metallic dividing between the red seats, and you know, once again, it's conjecture here, but I do believe that. Okay, so hear me out here. The red seats, perhaps it symbolizes communism, perhaps it's, you know, socialism of some sort, perhaps it symbolizes the Stalin-esque period of communism, and that's why, you know, the steel things are there. You know, the wall of steel, or the steel barricade. I don't quite remember what it was called. I have not done my research on this. I'm intensely sorry for not researching this. I know you all expected me to do heavy research for this, and believe me, I have, but you know, some things I can't predict for everything, okay? I'm so sorry. So you see there are two segments of steel, and within those there are two steel bars. You know, I also believe this could be tendrils from the alien space colony. They could be reaching out and grabbing Hank and Luann, thus the strange faces, and thus why Bobby looks relatively, you know, docile. I mean, he does not appear to have changed face a lot. I feel like it is time to move on to Bobby Hill. But you know, as I said before, he's quite docile. He's wearing a yellow uniform, perhaps to symbolize the cowardice of the Stalinist communist era of you know, killing people from very high orders of power without truly being down on the streets and seeing what life is like down in the slums, and they just don't care. I feel like this is it's very likely. That's probably what they meant by that, and you know, Bobby is also he's a fat little pig. He's a fat little pig, frankly, and this might symbolize the people on top, the people, you know, hoarding wealth and you know, taking money from the American citizens to you know, feed their own greed and things such as that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. he's a fat little pig, and I do believe that's what it could symbolize. Along with him not having a lot of hair, he's sort of bald, a little bit, and this might symbolize the, I've talked about it before, the absence of humanity, perhaps the absence of hair, the absence of liveliness and growth. I'm quite sure that could be it, quite frankly. So I feel like it's time we move on to the main character in the scene, Hank Hill, the patriarch of the family. So starting off, Hank's face, he appears to look like some sort of Skeletor type figure. He's a very frightening man. He might have been taken over by the alien race, much like Luann. They both might have, and Bobby is the only hope. Perhaps, I couldn't tell you what's inside the creators' heads, but that's what I frankly think. You see that he has very pronounced teeth, very nice teeth. He's showing them off as if to say, "Hey, look at my teeth." Makes sense. He has a lot of lines in his face to accentuate his age. I mean, he's not the spring chicken he once was. He's an old man. He's going to die very soon. So, some very, very sad themes here. As you can see, like Luann, he too has a small ear and eyes. So I feel that may symbolize the same thing as with Luann, where he cannot see the suffering of the poor underclass. He cannot hear the screams of the people suffering. It's very possible. I would not put it past the show's creators. They're very perceptive in what they do with their things. Quite frankly, I believe King of the Hill might be one of the most analytical shows on TV. One of the the best mirrors to society to say, "Hey, look at this." You know what I'm saying. And I believe they do put in a lot of this. I believe every frame has as many symbolic gestures as this one does. Mike, I believe a lot of like Mike Judge, I believe he has said something like every frame of King of the Hill contains at least 10,000 tiny references. I would not disagree with him. He's probably right. I mean, how can he be wrong? He's quite frankly the best person to ever live, and I do want to fuck him. So let's move on to Hank's hat here. Hank is wearing a very boxy kind of hat, a cap. This cap, it looks very similar to the one worn by Joseph Stalin. No, wait, not Joseph Stalin. Excuse me. I'm very rusty here, and please forgive me. The one worn by Fidel Castro, the communist leader of Cuba. Once again, working with the theme of communism in the back and the absence of humanity, as Fidel Castro is dead. You might be saying Fidel Castro was not dead in 1997. Just like with how The Simpsons clearly predicted Trump, I believe that King of the Hill predicted the death of Fidel Castro, and that is why Hank has a very anguished expression, and why there's a subliminal smiley face under his little hat. See the little sad face right there. I believe that is why. So if you just let's move on to the lower side of Hank here. So you can see that he is grabbing the wheel firmly, but he, I mean, there's something wrong with his hand here. I couldn't quite tell you. I mean, this it's just a strange lump of flesh. I do not understand it. Where's the second hand? Where's it going? Is it hanging down below the wheel? I think that is very plausible. And as you can see from the wheel, this appears to be a very old car, perhaps a you know, a very vintage car. He might have you know, revised it. He might have you know, fixed it, as seen earlier in the episode that he fixes the car. And once again, I believe that that this might have been from the communist era, the era of Stalin, the era of, you know, the Cold War. I believe this car might be a relic from it, and that's why Hank decided to wear the Fidel Castro cap, as he wanted to pay respect to the communist leader. And you know, good on you, Hank. He's showing respect for the leader of his ideology, and he's doing it in a good way. Okay. Now, so I believe we need to talk about the middle of the, well, or rather the bottom middle of the image. The separation between the higher plane of the dashboard and the lower plane, the little brown dividing thing there. I do believe that may also be a reference to the separation between you know, the communism and capitalism, the separation between, you know, us and them. The like, I feel like this is just reinforcing the theme of, like, human absence, and just, like, generally just dehumanizing your enemies, and you know, not wanting to face that we're all human, and we all share that common heritage, that common thing. I think this show is genius in that way, and this frame also. Well, I mean, this frame is part of the show, so I of course it would be. You know, I would like to remark on some things here. For example, let's see, above Hank's left hand, from his perspective, you know, you can see that his torso appears to disappear into the ether. And like, if you go down there, you know, I won't claim to know where it went. It could be a temporal wormhole. It could have ended up in a far galaxy, far, far away. Perhaps a Star Wars connection. Who knows? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but it could show up in the new Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi. You know, it's very plausible. I would say it's almost inevitable. I think we all know it is. It's going to be there. Because Mike Judge, as we all know, he's a very clever man, and he will go to great lengths to make his references come full circle. Yeah. So I believe we've said almost everything here. Or maybe it's just a shittily drawn fucking frame, okay? Maybe it's just it's a poorly drawn frame because it's the pilot of the fucking show.